So this is gonna be basically like a presentation that I wanted to give to Liz Parrish. I just got off with a meeting with her. She's the CEO of Bio Vivia. It was pretty cool to meet her. And we were talking about like my company and kind of the things like what my research could do for her company. And it's hard to explain quantum physics, and also I don't know like I know the math behind it, but I don't know math by heart. So yeah, it's like one of my weaker subjects, but I'm gonna go ahead and do this presentation like it would have been done if, I don't know, with more confidence, I guess. So this is like take two. So quantum computing, what can we do now? I should also probably answer just what is quantum computing first. So let's answer that first, right? Probably should start with that. So and IBM and Google, they all have different types of answering this, but basically, quantum physics is a term widely used, but really, not really understood. Just because, so it uses the stuff that happens at like the microscopic level of physics. Um, let's say an atom quantum tunneling to a certain position or something like that. Uh, Superposition. There's various aspects of the quantum of the quantum mechanics in the quantum world that are used in quantum computing, right? Classical physics is more for like the stuff that happens at the macro level, which is a lot larger. Um, Quantum computing is a perfect way to dip your toes into quantum physics. It distills core concepts from quantum physics into their simplest forms, stripping away complications of the physical world. Cool. So that's a little bit from my BM's answer to it, and then they go off on a tangent, but let me see if I can find my other answer to it, because I answered this for a lady a long time ago as well. And I should really write down some of these answers so that for future purposes. And then I'll get down to my presentation after I find this. Okay, so we're gonna go to this person. Da da da. Dang it! Must have been a long time ago. Okay. I'll probably just restart this so I can have it. Here we go. I just found it. She's in neuroscience research now. Okay. So the word quantum as the smallest unit possible in like an electromagnetic field or electron. Quantum computers take physics at its smallest level and retain normally an electron in superposition. This is a qubit, which is a 1 and a 0 at the same time. Lets you explore infinity. For those of you that know calculus, that's pretty cool. A quantum computer can explore infinity faster than regular computers. What I want to do with these quantum computers is create hybrid artificial intelligence models and quantum artificial intelligence models that we could sell to businesses or consult to the businesses and then adapt to them. Right. Um, so that's a little bit about what a quantum computer is. It uses a qubit instead of a regular bit, which is a 1 or a 0. A qubit can be both 1 and 0 at the same time. Alright. And then there's a couple of other things like Shor's algorithm, Grover's algorithm, quantum key distribution, those kinds of things. Those are, well, quantum key distribution is being used right now. So that's just for security. You can actually make something secure and like not hackable that way. Just because of the laws of physics, whenever someone tries to measure your message or your qubit, it'll give you a warning sign that it was measured by someone else aside from the two that are exchanging the message. And I'll probably cover quantum key distribution in another stream. So right now we're at the NISQ era. What does that mean? It's a noisy intermediately scale quantum. We have really shallow qubits. You don't really have a lot to work with right now, just because qubits are so hard to maintain. It's like because a qubit doesn't want to be the same thing all the time. It wants to change constantly. So it's really hard to retain information inside a qubit. And that's where a lot of the error correcting is going right now. So mostly we're trying to get a lot less errors in quantum computers. Right. There are several ways of taking advantage of quantum computers we have now. Mostly right now is through hybrid algorithms, and that allows you to use shallower circuits. A hybrid algorithm is normally like the top of the algorithm is the classical machine learning algorithm, right? And then it would be like you'd run the actual computational costs, like the heavy computational side, on the quantum computer. So a classical computer would be telling the quantum computer which circuits to run, and then it would measure which circuits, like of its parent, perform the best, and then the classical algorithm would choose the best performing circuits and then try to adapt from there. So my company, Healing Vectors, I've been trying to research CRISPR edits that we could use in the human genome for various purposes. Well, actually just CRISPR edits in general, but you could live indefinitely, you could make yourself super strong, super healthy, healing faster, you can make super plants. That's why I want to develop this quantum simulator, because then you'd be able to simulate physics and speed it up with really high accuracy, right? Like, so classical computers give you a certain amount of accuracy, but like it'll only ever be, the highest is like 97%, and then you can, error correct from there. But a quantum computer will give you 100% accuracy because it's a quantum system, and we live in a quantum system. That's not to say you wouldn't make mistakes, in trying to find that 100% accuracy, but because it's a quantum system, it's a lot better to simulate chemical interactions with and other things like that. So IBM is using variational quantum eigensolvers for protein folding, and the computational costs of using variational quantum eigensolvers is dramatically less than its classical associates like nearest neighbor. I think the other ones like, take a look, decision trees, Bayesian networks. I think it's the next slide actually. No, this is just so this is a comparison of the two different types. Classical is on the left, and the hybrid would be on the right. As you can see, the hybrid variational quantum eigensolver definitely outperforms the classical use cases of machine learning. You see how it's all like, here, if I can find my mouse, it's all scattered. You see that? And then they'd like build a best fit line out of certain something, right? Because they'd take their errors and try and find the best fit line after that. And then using a variational quantum eigensolver, it is almost exactly the amount of energy it takes to find the Hamiltonians and things like that in a protein fold. So this is comparing protein folding classically and with a quantum hybrid. Very drastic difference. This is more classical stuff. Kind of like showing you what percentage of it got correct. So support vector machines, random forests, gradient tree boosts, and it's comparing just all the classical data sets. This is not all my research. This is a bunch of other people's research, so I'm not the one who, ran these numbers and created all this, but I definitely learned from all their research. I'll try and post a bunch of the papers in the description for this video. That way you guys can learn yourself. Also, it'll give credit to all the people who worked their butts off finding this stuff. So, classical machine learning costs, right? The reason I'm bringing this up, the reason I want to be consulting for a bunch of companies like Recursion or Bio Vivia, is because we can dramatically reduce the costs of computational problem, right? So IBM using the variational quantum eigensolver reduce the cost, I think factorially, and that has a dramatic cost reduction, especially when it's like an exponentially hard problem. And I may not be saying that right because some of my math terms are a little loose, so I apologize for that, but I did compare a lot of the classical machine learning algorithms versus the hybrids, and some of the hybrids do tend to outperform, and specifically variational quantum eigensolvers do outperform their classical counterparts. And some of these are like, so support vector machines, nearest neighbor, decision trees, Bayesian networks, and some learning, those are classical. So yeah, if you were trying to solve protein folding, this VQE would outperform all those. And this is kind of a comparison of the different types of classical machine learning algorithms and how they were used in this protein folding study, right? Their research. And then this is what the outcomes were. I'm not sure of all the abbreviations, so I apologize for that. This is the methods they were implemented in, and this is the classifiers they used, right? So with IBM's research, they talk about variational quantum eigensolvers, VQE, and they specifically used a carve VQE, which is conditional. Let me find it. I apologize. Right here. Conditional value at risk, or simply carve VQE, right? And these are the generations and populations of different times they ran these, and then the shots is how many times it was run. So I think it's considered like an epoch. I may be wrong on that, but I will definitely learn more math to make sure that I'm right whenever I say things, huh? Gotta keep learning, gotta keep evolving. So this is the representation of a hybrid algorithm, right? You see up here is the classical. This is basically controlling the quantum circuits that we're going to build, right? It's going to tell them, it's going to run a couple of different ones, it's going to select different ones, and then it'll combine them and mutate. So basically, the classical parents will create a bunch of quantum circuits, and then it'll go back up to the classical parents, and the children of those parents that succeed the most will replace its parent, and then it'll run again and select better quantum circuits. And that's how you can get a huge speed boost in just protein folding. But here's the thing, you don't only have to use it for protein folding. You can use it for, like, let's say, because a variational quantum eigensolver, it's a state problem. So these Hamiltonians you could use those to represent, let's say, different boxes in a shipping container, and then for like Amazon or any logistics company or any company that has to handle a bunch of inventory or logistics or shipping containers, you'd represent each box as a different Hamiltonian, and then you'd find the lowest energy of those Hamiltonians, right? And I'm going to bring up something to reinforce that example. And then, so this is another point of how IBM's research in protein folding goes, right? And it just shows how it works. So population replaces offspring, right? Next generation, and then it goes classical quantum. And I have done an earlier video of variational quantum eigensolver. I apologize if I sound a little boring. I'm trying to be a little cheery. I've been told I'm monotone, but whatever's, not trying to be. This is the math behind some of carve VQE, right? I believe that's all the slides I had. So now I kind of want to talk about random stuff. First off, biodigital immortality, right? Nothing says that we have to die in our genes and all this. Like, people just accept death as a given, but honestly, nothing in nature says that we have to die. um, biologically wise, I mean. Now, uh, what some of the applications in the future that I hope to do would be like take a copy of your genome and your epigenome and then be able to uh, so BioViva is using gene therapy to heal or lengthen telomeres, right? That's and I think the CEO Liz Parrish, she injected with herself with like 100 different um, shots of this gene therapy, and it showed that she is now 20 years younger. Uh, so, I mean, it might not have gotten every single cell, and that's one thing where quantum dots could be involved. They're microscopic type needles that you can use to um, as a delivery system, basically. So you could use a bunch of quantum dots and like a skin thing or in like a float tank and deliver the gene therapy a lot faster to every single cell in your body using quantum dots, maybe. Uh, yeah, so you could have a backup of your genome in a blockchain technology. That way, it's a lot harder to hack, a lot harder to break into, preferably quantum blockchain that's resistant to quantum computer uh, encryption breaking, right? Now, Dr. David Sinclair's approach, which is OSK and NMN and other things like that, he wrote this book called Lifespan: Why We Age and Why We Don't Have to. Really great book, definitely recommend it. I am not affiliated with any of these people. I just am a huge fan of them all, right? Uh, those genes, OSK, OCT4, SOX2, and KLF4, have to do with the repairing of your DNA whenever it's damaged. So you could introduce a lot of different types of solutions for longevity. I think that if you get at least like 7 different ones and you mix the 7 different ones into one major cure, you'd probably actually get near indefinite life. Um, that's all I have presentation wise. Sure, save it. I don't know. Now let's see if I can do. I'm gonna read maybe more of my notes. So, if you're like a CEO or a research person watching this, how could this affect your company? You know, there are several ways VQEs or VQAs could affect your company and decrease your company's computational costs overall, which could save you millions to billions depending on what types of machine learning algorithms you're using. Now, these types of models can also be adapted to CRISPR edits and the human genome, which is why, you know, if helping your research would help my research. Since these types of algorithms are hybrids, you can use your previous work in the implementation of the hybrids. So that's the key there, is like you don't have to just stop what you've been doing. So like a company like Recursion, which they use data science a lot in their to research drug interactions or things like that, right? You could still use all the previous models information and just add a quantum layer to it that would give you like a huge increase. So these are all my notes. Um, on some of it that I wanted to cover. Let's see. Decision making. Yeah. The computational heavy end would be done in the quantum computer, kind of like a GPU. Right now we have shallow circuits. With creating hybrids, it does allow us to take advantage of the quantum speedups while still just using what the qubits that we have, because there's not a lot of qubits out there that we can use. Now, the error correcting in quantum computers is the main problem. There are different types of quantum computers out there. I'm mostly focusing on superconducting ones, so superconducting qubits. There's quantum annealing, and then there's also topical qubits. I think there's also this thing called what was it? Over this. So there's this thing called, imperfect diamonds. Yeah. So they use the diamonds in perfection to run computations, which is pretty cool. I learned that in the qubit by qubit course I just took. So Rigetti, IBM, D-Wave, they're all companies working on different types of solutions. Rigetti is pretty cool. Some of the algorithms. Oh yeah, and definitely tell me what you guys think of the multiverse in the comments section below, because I'm a huge fan of the multiverse, and I honestly think that there are infinite Jeremys out there. And I think that there are infinite yous out there, and we could probably talk to each other. Like, anyway, it's a dream. It's a dream, and it's gonna happen. So right now we have shallow circuits, best performance through near-term algorithms or hybrids. We use Niscara circuits in combination with classical machine learning to obtain further performance boosts. There are many types of algorithms being developed. So far, VQEs are best for chemical interactions or protein folding. The computational advantage of quantum computers can be reached through the classical resources required to solve a particular problem growing exponentially in a certain parameter, while the quantum resources memory of operations and number of measurements grow polynomially in the same parameter. I think that's all I have as far as notes and things like that. I'm going to try and improve my presentation a lot more, but that's all I have for now. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, tell me how I can improve. Liz did say that she believed in me, so that's nice. And then she wanted to see if she could be on my advisory board. I'm like, yeah, you can have the first seat, I'm a one-man army right now, so I'm pretty much doing all the things I can to get people to learn about quantum computers. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.